Yo, what is up? What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Catalyst Effect podcast. This is season 2, episode 14. I can't believe we're here, boys. As always, I'm Klaus, and with me is Crypto Hado and Missy. Today we have a super special episode and first start to season 2. We have Simon from MixMob with us. How are you, Simon, man? Thank you so much for coming on the show. Super excited to have you with us.
Cloud, Crypto Hado, Missy, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks so much for having me. It's gonna be a great show. We have so much in store for you guys and for everybody that is listening. And yeah, pumped to be here, guys. It's a beautiful day here. I'm in Canada. So it's a beautiful day here in Canada. And when it's a beautiful day in Canada, it's gonna be a good day, man.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. I didn't know you were in Canada. That's awesome. What is it the same time as us over there? What's the time for you over there right now?
So we're in Pacific time, so it's about 10:30 a.m. right now. What about you
Okay.
guys?
We're in Eastern, so we're a little bit ahead of you, a couple by a few hours only though. Not too bad,
I,
not too
I'm
bad.
in I'm in Central though, so it's twelve
Oh,
thirty
that's
for
right.
me.
Dude. I
Mm.
I had
Yeah,
already
we're
moved you
in
to the
Eastern.
yeah, I had already moved you to the Florida headquarters. That's what happened there, Hado. But hey, Hado, Missy, how are you boys, man? How are you guys feeling? We're here in season 2 of the Catalyst Effect podcast. How was the holidays, the New Year's? Tell me, boys. Hado, I'm gonna
I'll
start with
let
you.
Hado go first since his time zone got skipped.
and my name was called first, so that's
Yes,
etiquette.
sir.
So I
Yes, sir.
appreciate that. Yeah, everything's good, man. New Year's was a lot of editing. It was a great time. We're starting the new year pretty good. Holidays was great. This week has been great, and I'm ready to get into some discussions on MixMob.
Awesome, dude. Awesome. What about you, Missy?
Man, I've had a great week. Played a lot of games, did a lot of work. I played a bit of Mixed Mob. I played a bit of Cipher.
Yes.
Yeah, I got some early access to Cipher. That was cool. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much what I played for the majority of this week. And oh yeah, a little bit of Legends of Illumia as well. So that was, that's like the trifecta right there. So
Hell yeah,
Beautiful.
man. Hell yeah, dude. We'll definitely get more in talks about our game of the week. I would love to hear what Simon, obviously the bias shows choice is gonna be Miss Mops, but I would love to hear if you've been eyeing any other eyes on any other games or anything like that. It would be cool to see your perspective on that. But Simon, I'm gonna shift it back to you, man. I always like to give the floor to our guests whenever we have one. For any new listeners out there, anyone watching live right now, can you tell us a little bit more about Miss Mops and a little bit about your story, how you came to want to develop this game and going for this style, right? It's like a racer mixed with a little bit of TCG in there. So, like, I would love to get your perspective and your backstory on that.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. So, but before I go into this, Crypto Hado, I gotta ask you, my friend, is that okay? Is that a cat or what? What do you have in the background over there, my friend? It looks really cool, man. I have to say.
Oh
Oh,
man.
you talking about this guy right here? That's my
Yeah.
dog. My
Okay.
dog too. His name is Coco. He likes to lick his hands, and yeah, he's my little shit.
But you
Little
know what?
bundle of
Like
joy.
from here, like because we're zoomed out. I was like, is that a like I was just trying to figure out what it was, and it looks like a skunk. I was like, maybe it's just like it's awesome, man. But what kind of dog? What's the name?
It's a Shih Tzu. His name is Coco.
Okay,
Yeah, he's always he kind of sleeps on my clothes, so that's what he likes to sleep on.
love
He
it,
likes
man.
he likes the smell of me, I guess. I don't know.
Coco is
That's
chilling
super
with
cool.
us, man. So awesome. Okay, guys. So I'll tell you a little bit about me and about MixMob and how it all started, and then we'll go deeper into it. But for everybody that is listening, my name is Simon. I'm the co-founder and CEO of MixMob. I've been building games for 15 years. Started creating Facebook games. This was, when Facebook was just starting to make games, and relatable to the show and the Web3 space. I remember my friends were like, they're like, dude, what the fuck are you doing making Facebook games? Like come back to console. And I was like, guys, there's something really unique here, some really cool mechanics that we don't have in console. So I'm just gonna explore this territory. And was lucky enough to develop one of the fastest growing games on Facebook at the time. And I was like, fuck yeah, there's something really cool here. And from there, we went into mobile, and it was the same kind of thinking, right? Like people were like, "Hey, mobile games, what is this?" And I was like, "No, there's some cool mechanics that we can apply to games here that traditional games don't have." And look at mobile games right now, right? And that led me to a really good opportunity at EA. So I worked at FIFA for many years here in Vancouver, and my job there was to start an innovation department inside of the FIFA franchise and to bring all these processes that I've built through building mobile games, right? And it was more agile, faster, and testing it with people, and bring those processes to EA, test features with people, and then obviously put those features that tested well into the actual game. So I worked for many years there, and I had a similar opportunity to do the same at PokerStars. So I went and worked at PokerStars for many years, and now you can start seeing why MixMob it's kind of the way it is. Cards strategy, it's really important to me. That's something that I align a lot with, and also real money gaming. So from there, I went to crypto in 2016, and then I never looked back. And in 2021, when we were seeing what Axie was doing and everything that was going on, my friend and co-founder was like, "Hey man, have you seen what Axie is doing?" I was like, "Fuck yeah." It's like, let's do something. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do something. So we put a team together, and that's how MixMob started. And just real quick about MixMob, and then I'll give you the high level overview, and then we will go deep into it. But MixMob is the world's first card strategy racing game. And imagine Mario Kart meets Hearthstone. And we have a really cool lore that targets the crypto natives and crypto enthusiasts. And the lore revolves under one premise, which is, what would you do if an AI deleted our entire culture? That's the premise, and we'll go deep into it. But I'll pass it to you guys. Honored to be here.
Dude, I love that story. And I was reading on the lore a little bit. I love the backstory of like AI going into like deleting humanity basically. And it's super cool. Definitely check it out if you haven't. But I love what you said about like, comparing it like back in your days to poker starters, right? Like, because you said it earlier, Miss Mop is very much like easy to play, hard to master, right? And
Mhm.
that's very much like poker. So I love that that strategy thinking is in place with the game. But yeah, dude, love your story. Hado, I'm gonna pass it to you, brother. Do you have any questions to follow up with that?
I mean, like, I didn't know the EA part. That's really cool. I have a lot of questions. Like, how deep were you into EA and stuff, and how much does that influence the game in like terms of what you've brought to the table for Mixed Mob?
Yeah, totally. I'm deep into A, right? Like I worked there for many years, and in the heart of FIFA, as deep as in FIFA here in the facility in the work office, there is there's a soccer pitch, right? And I was as deep as being in one of the best teams playing soccer. I'm originally from Colombia, so we had a soccer team there, and my team was really really good, and so as deep as that. But to answer your question, the influence that FIFA has had or EA has had on our game is it goes back to even Facebook when I was building Facebook games, right? Like the idea of building an IP and a game fast or faster than traditional games. It's what gave me that edge, and it was my job at FIFA, right? And I'll tell you this super quick story. So when I was there, the UX department was just starting. This is 2014, 2013, right? And we talk about UX now, and UX is like the common theme, but back in the time, this was just starting, right? So one thing that we did for FIFA was we had our first moderated user test that broadcasted the test to everybody that was working on FIFA in here in Canada. And the my job was to start bringing more of these tests with players into the actual development process. So we had this first one, and it was 20 people, very very controlled test, but we broadcasted it to the offices, and man, everybody stopped working. They were just looking at. They were so happy to see players actually playing the new feature that we were doing, and the feedback and the validation we got and the observations was incredible. Now, here's to tie it all together. Here's the punchline. The punchline is when we first launched MixMob, 3 months after development, our raw alpha, this was raw as as raw can be. We launched it to all our NFT holders, 2,000 NFT holders at the time, and they all got to play it live with us. And getting that feedback from like all these players was incredible. And we've been building Mixma for 2 years now, validating it with the community, and that's one thing that it's been incredible for us, validating everything with the community, building with the community, and something that I couldn't do at EA the way I can now. So I'll pause it there, but that's something just to to answer your question there.
Yeah, I
Love
think
to.
that's a really good point to bring up because I think a lot of people take that for granted in Web3 is like the open kind of development that you can do in
Yes.
Web3. It's just not
Totally.
possible with Web2 games because you have like a
Yep.
whole chain of command. There's like a different way
Mhm.
that things flow there. Go ahead,
Totally.
Mizzy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love to hear that aspect of it, right? Because it's always very interesting to me to see how the different relationships that developers have with their community. Some are more closed off, some are much more open. And Mixmob, in my impressions, has always had that open feel. It's like very almost like an open source game in the sense that from the community feedback level, like you guys are, and flowers to you
Yeah.
guys. Building in the bear for the last 2 years, I'm sure was not easy. So, I'm glad you guys are having this fantastic coming out party.
Yeah. No, I agree with the rest of the guys. I love that answer as well. One of the things I was reading on a lot of Miss Mob was the amount of UGC component that you guys are implementing, right? So like, I wanted to definitely talk and touch bases on that a little bit more. But before we do, I wanted to ask you, right? One of the things that I saw as well was that you guys are really aiming to make sure that you allow all types of gamers and all types of players, right, to have a way to win and earn crypto within Miss Mobs, right? Like, so you're going for those that are like strictly focused on gaming into earning. You're going for like the more degen side of things and allowing a way for them to earn as well, right? Like, so I love the perspective. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, the three
Yes,
archetypes.
totally. And so when we look at games, the best games are the ones that obviously start with a very niche, and we'll go into that in a little bit, but also evolve to target many different type of players. And I'll tell you a super quick story, but in my view, and in kind of my philosophy, Earth is the best video game in the world because it targets all different personas. You can be, if you want to be in the military, like there's in gaming there's certain archetypes, right? There's the killer, socializer, quester, and there's also the climber, right? Like the ones that likes to go climb leaderboards, etc. And those evolve into more and more and more. But at a macro level, that's the highlight, right? When you look at Earth, it targets all of those and more, right? You can be whatever you want in this open world, and that's when it's a really really good game. And to start, obviously you cannot target everybody because then you target nobody. But when you start, you want to target very specific person, but in your niche, you want to get the range. And when we look at Web3 games, Web3 games are a category on its own. That's our belief, right? Similar to mobile games, we talk a little bit about this. We truly believe that Web3 games are a category on its own. We're not going Web 2.5 or like hiding it. No, we're going all in. And so inside of that niche, what is the spectrum, right? And so we have gamers, we have degens. I mean, I'm a degen by heart, like I freaking and then we have people that like to gamble, right? And when people think about gambling, people think it's almost in North America, people might think that it's a bad thing, but like I grew up in South America. We gamble for socializing all the freaking time. I will play soccer at age 7, and we will gamble. Like whoever wins, the team that loses needs to pay the other team, like buy the pop or buy candy or whatever. Like, and it was a way to socialize, to have fun, and we see it the same way. So that's the spectrum for us, and obviously as we grow, that's going to grow more. But for now, those are the players that we're targeting.
I think that's a really big part of Latino culture, where my grandfather raised me on those same principles, where it was like, if you're gonna play baseball, you're gonna play basketball, boy, you better put money on the line.
Right.
So I mean,
Yeah.
I totally understand that perspective because I myself, I'm, heritage wise, I'm a mix of Puerto Rican, Dominican, and Korean. So
Love it.
Hell yeah.
it's Koreans equally gamble. So it's for
Yes.
me, it makes so much sense.
We're all Latin on this panel. Like I'm half Puerto Rican, half Dominican. Clouds is Cuban. Like we all feel that. I know
For
Clouds is
real?
foaming at the mouth
Yeah,
right now with this conversation.
yeah.
Mm.
I think I don't know if the rest of you guys were born. Were you guys the rest of you guys were born here though, right?
Yeah,
In the
I was
United
born in
States?
Queens.
I was born in
Yeah, yeah.
Vermont.
Well, yeah, but like here in the United States is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, like okay.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Colombia until I was 18 years old, and then I moved to Canada. But yeah, so like you guys nailed it. Even that heritage, you can see it. Like gambling is not a bad thing. Obviously, anything in extreme is bad, but gambling is a way to socialize, to have fun, to just add a little bit of adrenaline. So that's why you see that influence in our game a lot, and we can go deeper into that in a bit.
Well, I think you nailed it right away, right? Like I think it's a culture, like being a cultural thing, right? Like it's perceived differently in many different cultures, right? Like I think people have a different mentality when it comes to gambling, depending of what part of the world they are, how they their culture socialize with one another, right? Like you were mentioning. I think the problem when it comes to gaming, at least in Web3, we see it more often, is that a lot of games don't focus in having a way to, like you guys are doing, right? Like allowing different types of players have a way to like enjoy the game in the way they want to enjoy it, right? The
Hmm.
gambling fanatic can have that in the game. The ones that just want to focus on gameplay and creating content and just having fun have a way to do that as well. And then the people that are more degen are like, have the token economy and they can look into that side of things and enjoy that perspective, right? So like I think the key factor here is to make sure that you have ways to allow all the type of player base have a way to enjoy your game. So I think you
Yeah,
guys are doing a great job at that.
because everyone's
Thank you.
always saying, there's not enough players in Web3. Maybe you're just not building for the players.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
and that's and you come from Poker Stars, a dev that I'm personally very close with, and Catalyst is also very close with, is Sinjin. And he's always talking about his perspective on it. And when I was playing MixMob, when I was reading through everything, it reminded me a lot of the principles that he's always preaching. So it's like, I don't know, at this point, if I see someone from PokerStars working on a game, I'm bullish.
Yeah, for real.
You guys just get it.
Yeah, no, I do want to mention, throw it out there that if you guys take the time to actually make like a graphic or something to like address this problem, because a lot of people kind of like throw this to the side of the room, be like, we're not going to worry about these kind of people. Like, we're just going to make sure that they don't attack our economy or whatever. Instead of doing that, you guys have found a way to incorporate them within the economy itself. And I think that's very important to note here. I think more games need to take notice on that.
And guys, when you think about it, this space, us, all of us here, we we believe in it. We're here for many reasons, but one of those reasons is also financial independence. All of these things that crypto embraces, right?
Hmm.
And the cool part is, sure, there might not be as many people as in, let's say, Web2, but the people that are here, we are all willing to spend more and support the things that we truly believe in for for many reasons. One is that reason of financial independence, which is one of the main reasons, but other ones is to support other projects, to degen in cool shit, right? And when you think about an NFT that costs freaking $750 or $1,000, that's a PS5, man. Like,
Yeah.
like that's heavy duty spending. And so yeah, sure, there should be there are less people, but the spending habits and the belief is totally different. And games can totally thrive here if they target the right people. And at the beginning it's going to be confined, and that's totally fine. Look at mobile. I come from mobile Facebook games. We weren't like, oh, we're going to build a game that targets console and web, whatever. Like, no, you just target on that niche, and then from there you build such a fucking cool game with the mechanics and everything that targets that niche and platform, that then people from the outside is like, whoa, that's so cool, I want to in, I want to go in. And then that's what happens, and that's our vision here.
Yeah, exactly. Just do epic shit, exactly like the nameplate right behind you. Do epic shit. I love it.
This is it.
Let's get it.
Yeah,
Let's get
hell
it.
yeah, dude. For
That's my
real,
title,
man.
guys.
I I need to
Do
get one of
epic
those
shit,
nameplates. I want to
Simon.
get one
Mr.
now.
Mr. Do Epic shit. I love it. I love
Exactly.
it.
Thank
Hey,
you.
real quick before we
I'm
keep going
calling.
forward, real quick, I just want to say hello to a couple people I see in the chat. I see YP and I see George from the Gaming Strategist. Man, thank you so much, guys, for being here with us. Super nice to see you in the chats. And hello to all of our
Also,
viewers that haven't said hello. Unfortunately, Twitter doesn't have a way for me to see the chat
all
in
right, I got
Twitter.
you. I got you. I got you. I
Oh,
got
you
you.
do?
So,
Let's go.
Erica, what's up? Erica, what's up? Rayman, and what's up? Nick B. Shaw, and
Let's
Twitch is a
go.
ghost town right
Yeah,
now.
well, you know, that's Twitch for you. But hey,
That's Twitch.
thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. And of course, we have Simon. If you guys have any questions at all that you want to ask for Miss Mobs, make sure you throw it in the chat, and we'll make sure to ask it here on the show. But yeah, moving forward a little bit, right? I wanted to touch bases more on the UGC side of things, right? Because I was reading a lot on it, and there seems to be a lot of things that the players can do, right? I
Hmm.
saw things like players can create their own tracks on there, right? They can use the editor to make like cars and different things, and then they can even like fuse those cars from what I read to like maybe win like some NFTs. Is that correct? Or can you touch
Totally.
bases on that, Simon?
Yeah, absolutely. So before we go deep into the current mechanics, let me tell you just a little bit of where all of this come from, right? So from our perspective, obviously, so UGC, when you look at the internet and even technology, everything before was what we call read, and by that it means like TV, music. You just read, you just listen to it. There's no read write, right? Then the internet came and it added that component of read write. So now all of a sudden, a piece of technology or something, you can actually add something to it. So that it was this read write element to it, and with that, this economy of creative economy was born, right? And now the problem on the internet is when there is easily when a piece of technology is easily read write, it's very hard to have control and protection, right? For example, like music, you can pirate music, you can, all of this stuff. So and as everything in innovation, something very new introduce a big solution to and a cool mechanic, but introduce new problems. Now with blockchain, this read write now works beautifully because now you have more control of the writing. You have more control of the remixability of things, because as you guys remix what we've created, that smart contract keep tracks of royalties, keep tracks of who created it, etc. So there's more. So blockchain solves this beautiful problem that remix culture brings, or the read write culture brings, or creative economy brings. So that's our philosophy of where we come from, and why we want to apply it into games. It's because we believe that it's called the creators economy. That's the next economy, right? And when you think about what can happen there, if somebody, let's say Cloud or Hado or Missy, wants to create a avatar for MixMob, right?
Mhm.
And let's say you create it, you bring it, you pitch it to the community, and this is where the DAO and the league comes from, and we can talk about that later. But let's say you create something for the economy, you pitch it, community says yes, voting says yes, goes into marketplace. Now you have a way to create passive or some sort of income through the creative economy of the game that targets what you love, what you like, that creation side, plus protects you and the rights through blockchain. Because if somebody remixes that, then you can still have access to that chain, right? So think about it from this perspective. From us, we're going this deep into this into the future. So from items to for players to have UGC and create, all the way to our league. So, for example, you guys, content creators, you guys love creative content, right? So, in the league, the way we're shaping this, let's say Clouds, Missy, or Hado, you guys want to create content, you put the pitch to the league. We all own the league through our MXM governance token. Everybody says, yeah, fuck yeah, these guys are killing it. You unlock a budget to create content on the league for MixMob, and then all of a sudden you guys, UGC, you guys are generating content, you guys are generating revenue through the unlocking of funds, and it's a win-win for the project, for the community, for everybody. So from creating items to content through the league, through also creating tracks. So in the, some of the top leagues are investors, right? But also in the near future, if let's say Missy or you guys want to create your own track, you can with your own rules and then with your own pricing, and you pitch that to the league. The league says, "Fuck yeah, these guys are killing it." They will bring a bunch of people, and then you guys will benefit from that, as well as the project, as well as everybody. So UGC is the future for sure, and blockchain solves a beautiful problem in that space that we haven't seen before, and I'm so excited to go super deep into it.
Hell yeah, dude. I love that answer. I mean, UGC is something, it's one of my biggest interests when it comes to Web3, right? Because it really allows, like you said, a creator economy to happen within the ecosystem, right? Like when you give the accessibility and like the openness to like the players to create within your world, that's when
Mhm.
things get really really creative and interesting within the game. And for example, I'm going to throw it back to like the days before Web3, right? Like back in Halo 3, I always use this example for when it comes to UGC, because back in Halo 3, right, like if you guys ever play Halo 3, you had the forge mode, right, where players could create within maps and customize them however they wanted, and players started creating like basically new types of game modes, right, within
Mhm.
Halo 3. And almost like custom play became almost as popular, if not more popular, than multiplayer, right? So like it was really cool to see that UGC happen in those early days. But like I agree with you 100%. I think Web3 just makes it that much more accessible, and it can like scale it to a level that we haven't seen yet, because and tying that with the accessibilities that we have to the dev teams and how we can provide feedback to improve features, improve tools, right, creator tools within the editor, right, the world editor, whether it be for the tracks or for like cars or whatever it may be, right? So I think that's super cool, man. I love the idea behind the UGC that you guys are putting into the game.
Yeah, and just to jump in real quick, I love the fact that Simon mentioned governance, because that's something that a lot of Web3 games throw out there, but they don't really have like a whole built out picture on how that concept works. And so this is kind of a way that people can use that governance model to then create the UGC. So it's kind of like working hand in hand together. I like that. You guys have thought about that.
Exactly, and that's where, when we first started MixMob, when you're creating something new and you have that tingly feeling of like, oh fuck, this is gonna be really good.
Oh yeah.
I had that meeting, or I had that feeling, right? I had that feeling when we first started MixMob, and in retrospect, I'm like, yes, that was right. I'm having the exact same feeling for the MixMob League, and like what you just mentioned, how what you mentioned, Cloud. The league solves so many problems in traditional sports leagues, esports leagues, but also it adds a component of governance that now makes sense for players, for the community, because who wouldn't want to own the NFL, or like, thinking in the future, like, or the MLS or whatever, like the FIFA, right? So that's where we're going. I'm so excited about it. And yeah, and the other part that crypto solves, with UGC, it's the economy side of things, the creative control of the rights of the payments. So it's we're early, but it's gonna be the default of how this evolves for sure.
Yeah, I have a question on that note, because you mentioned the league would like allow new creatives to like come in and like build and stuff. Is there going to be like some kind of curative process to kind of reward people that are making people or make people making like things like that?
Totally. So from our tokenomics, we have an ecosystem allocation. 5% of our entire supply is going to go into the ecosystem allocation, and a percentage of that ecosystem allocation is to fund the league. And so the process that we have now, in pilot programs internally, is, imagine, let's say you guys want to pitch let's say the coming up with an idea like the Missy Hado Cloud MixMob show, right? For the league, right? And this is to talk about MixMob, to do some live casting of the races, etc. Because our game is highly twitchable, highly competitive, so it's super fun to shoutcast. You should see, like, we just had G2 Esports do a stream. G2, like, it was crazy. It went so good. So imagine you guys, and then you pitch it to the league. So the process goes: the league has to approve it. We all vote, right? You guys have the pitch, right? How much you need. Let's say you say, for example, it's going to cost 10,000 MXM, which is our governance token, and we're gonna do this for 6 months, for example, and it's gonna be weekly or bi-weekly, and this is the format, and these are the guests, and you put a good pitch to the league. The league says, "Fuck yeah," unlocks the funds. You guys create the content, and you guys benefit. The leagues benefit. The league, the MixMob benefits, and the community like it's just a win-win.
Yeah. No, I love the governance side of it, right? And now that you mentioned the MSM token, right? I wanted to ask you a quick question because another feature that's in MISMAP is the fact that players can stake MSM tokens into turbo arenas, right? And then from that, they're able to derive a percentage, right? From the total revenues of that turbo arena. But does that mean that it's based on a percentage of the amount of times that players have won in that turbo arena, or is it the amount of times that players pick to race in that arena? Can you talk a little bit
Perfect.
on how that works?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way we looked at a lot of sustainable models in crypto, right? And one of those are the DeFi models, right? Like Curve, for example, a DeFi protocol, right? And the way it's sustainable is they charge a fee for transactions, right? For staking,
Mhm.
etc. And then they take part of that fee and they give it back as a reward to those pools to incentivize more staking, etc. It's sustainable because they're not issuing more tokens or things on out of thin air. It's actual sustainable uh, you know, revenue income. So we were like, okay, how can we apply this? And the way we can apply this is, and this is a good time to tell you kind of like how the game loop works and the model works. Is the model is you go pick a robot, right? One of our mix bots, and because you're racing, it's kind of like a horse or a car in F1, right? So that's your mix bot. It has different powers, different abilities, and so you pick one, then you go and race and compete against others, but you can race for free. Now when you race for free is more training, etc., but then you can go into the big league, like into the we call it the big people league or the big people arenas, and that one is you have to put some crypto down. You have to risk a little bit. So you risk some crypto, and say for example, let's say we all go into playing. So we raise, let's say we risk 10, let's say $1 each, right? And in our currency, in the MixMob currency, and then MixMob takes 10% of that. So that's how we generate revenues, right? From that fee, and the rest, the 90%, goes into the pool for us to whoever wins that pool, right? And then from there, now let's say Missy won, and so now Missy has $3 or $4. Now instead, in a regular game in poker, for example, you cash that out. By the way, I play poker competitively, and it takes like 2 weeks or a week to get your money back, right? And then you're hit by like so many different payment walls and payment processors that by the time you get that money, it's like 30% or 20% out. So but here, let's say you go, you play, you win, and then instead of taking the money out, you might be like, hey, I truly love this arena, I'm going to stake these winnings into the arena. And by staking it, you're saying, okay, I believe in this arena. You're incentivized to bring more people to that arena because a high percentage, about 30% of that fee from us, from that 10%, goes back into the staking pool as rewards. So now Missy is incentivized to go refer all of our friends to that arena, because the more people are in that arena, the more fees are going to go into that reward pool, the more everybody's going to participate and get into the rewards of that arena. So that is the flywheel effect that we've been testing for the past 2 years, and we're so proud of it and happy about it.
First of all, I love there's no DeFi stuff. So hearing you talk about curve models, thank God. A lot of people don't know certain aspects of that it's going to take to sustain some of these economies in Web3. And then I would love to get a little more into the game loop, and then have you expand a little more on the league, right? So the game loop is super interesting to me. Like I understand the flywheel effect of the economy, but the game itself, it's a TCG racing game, and it's the first of its kind. And when I first heard it, it sounded bizarre, but then when I played it, it made so much sense. because it's, I'm usually the guy in the group that bashes, all the TCGs. There's so many TCG mechanics, but when you play mixed mob, it's like the cards are coming up, you're clicking, you're making quick decisions, so it doesn't really feel like a TCG at all. The game, like, it has that adrenaline, it has that. What inspired that? And I think, like, my hunch is you have to find a way to keep people from cheating, right? So that's why, like, TCG mechanics are so strong. And but I would love to hear you talk more about what inspired that, what your thinking process was going into that, and how you see it affecting the leagues.
For sure, for sure. So, um, yeah, thanks, man. I love that question. And one really quick thing is when we first started MixMob, and part of my process of developing, rapidly with people is to actually find out what do people want. So in game traditional in content, I call it a market push. Content creators, not sorry, content developers, like gamers or game developers, that's the better word. Game developers, what they do is they do a market push, meaning they go in the lab, develop for 1 year or 2 years, and then they go and do a market push, like, hey, here is what we just built, and they put a shit ton of money, and they're like, you better freaking like it. That's kind of like how it usually works in traditional game dev and content, like movies, etc. But what I realized building for rapidly for Facebook and mobile is that the best games are actually, you ask what people want, you interpret it as a developer, and then you take from those needs and those problems and you create something based on that, and then it's a co-development, right? So for MixMob, before we even created anything, we did a survey of our initial community and people in the industry. It was about 2,000 people, and we wanted to know what were the problems with Web3 games at the time. Remember, this is June 2021. So this was like when Axie was just kind of like really starting. And what we realized is from these surveys, people wanted games that were fast paced, that they wanted people that or games that had more strategic components, like they really liked that about Axie and other games. They wanted games that were more competitive, twitchable, and things that they didn't like about the games that were in the space were that they were very slow, right? Like, for example, when you were playing Axie at the time, it was turn-based, you gotta wait, it wasn't as twitchable. They didn't like games that like, obviously the economy was not sustainable, and they didn't like long tournaments, right? Like in poker, when you go into a tournament, it's long sometimes and you gotta be there. So that was the basis for our game. And what inspired this, we were like, okay, people like strategy, people like collectability in blockchain, in Web3, but people want faster paced games, more twitchable. What are the genres in games that gives us that? And we broke it down to a bunch. And first person shooters, there were a lot at the time, or a lot that were being built. And we were like, okay, what about a racing game? What about if we merge that thing that people want in Web3, collecting cards, creating cards, and this racing component of it, because it's twitchable, fast paced, synchronous. And we were like, let's try it out. And then we put those things together. And that was our first prototype, 3 months. We launched it to the community, 2,000 people. In that launch party, from the 2,000 unique holders, there were like 1,500. It was like a crazy ratio or more. So around 80% of all, and the feedback was incredible. And remember, the game looked like shit at the time, but the mechanics were like, fuck yeah, this actually works. And that gives us the ammunition to keep going and going and going. So that was the inspiration. And for also a lot of hunches and gut feelings from building poker in poker games and features for poker stars. One of the quick things that I can share about my research there is that when a lot of poker players, they move to Hearthstone, because Hearthstone is more fast paced, it's engaging, it's exciting, shit flowing out. And when you play poker, sometimes it's actually quite boring, because if you're a good player, you're kind of like folding the entire time, like, and so it's not very interactive and engaging. So that past experience, and also from our co-founders as well, and that research is just what kicked everything off.
Man, I love that. It's hearing, the test fast is what I really, because I used to run e-commerce businesses. I worked in fashion for quite some time, and that was our motto. Test fast, test often, and when you find your
Mhm.
winners, you scale as much as you possibly can. So to hear that type of mentality go into game development, it's weird, but it's also really cool.
Mhm.
Because there's so many technical aspects to game development that you would think it's impossible to do that, but I guess that's like the beauty of saying I'm not trying to build for the world, I'm trying to build for this one community. And yeah, I mean, very very insightful. And how do you see the leagues, right? Like the leagues is very interesting to me. Like I love how you mentioned that people are going to be able to generate different leagues almost based around like different UGC game modes. So it seems like we're going to get to a point where there's almost like a league for every UGC builder in some way, shape, or form if they get approved. But I would love for you to like really dive into the league aspect and let us know how you see it.
For sure. And so I love that we're going deep into the league because there's no, at least to my knowledge, and back to your point, Missy, of iterating fast and developing with the community. There is no league that is a DAO in the way that we have envisioned this that I know yet. So this is a new innovation to the space. And what I have seen though is I have seen a DAO for a esports team. And
Hmm.
shout out to Black Hand because uh, about 3 months ago they won the
Sursu.
first, right, they won the first Pokemon tournament, and it's so cool. It's a DAO, and it brings so many cool aspects of blockchain and DAOs into the space. So we're seeing that, and we're like, fuck. Imagine if we do a league that also revolves around that. And our goal with the league, the MXM League, is to create the the largest community owned Web3 gaming league for a video game. So there are leagues for PUBG, there are leagues for Fortnite, etc. But there's no a community owned Web3 gaming league, and that's the innovation we want to bring to the space, because now we are the league. So as MixMob, we're the league, we are the game, and we're the broadcaster, because we develop a broadcasting platform where you can actually go and watch other people race and bet. So, you know, for all of us owning MXM, we own that league. We own the cool shit that is, the game, right? Like the game, the league, the broadcasting, and with that comes so many cool things that we can participate as owners. For example, broadcasting rights, partnerships. Who's going to be our partner? Is the Missy Show going to be, for example, Missy Show going to be our partner, or is Missy, Hado, and Cloud D, or Cloud Z, sorry, the kind of like the main content creators? Like all of these things we can now own and participate in governance, right? So that's one really interesting thing. The other thing is the events, right? So do we do monthly events? The price pool, the teams, right? Maybe the four of us want to start a team. Now we stake. Now we're part of the team. Now we go, and there's just so many cool things that come from this league that blockchain solves, that I'm so excited. And like I said, this also unlocks the UGC component of everything for Web3, because now if we want to create content, we go pitch it to the league, and now we can create content for the league, for example. So I'll pause there for a second, but honestly, this is a big innovation and something that I predict, as we evolve this more games are going to do it, because why not? It's such a good thing for games and for the community.
So
I love, dude. Oh, go ahead, Hado. Go
I
ahead.
just want to jump in real quick. So you mentioned G2 esports and earlier on this, and I also see in the white paper broadcasting rights. So when it comes to the league and stuff like that, how do you determine who comes in as like a big entity? Like G2 esports is a pretty big esports entity. And then what do you mean by broadcasting rights? Like what does that mean?
Yeah, I love it. So the entity part, the cool thing about the league is we all own it, right? Everybody that owns MXM owns the league, and this is another utility for our governance token, right? So, for example, let's say Nike wants to participate, for example, right, in the league. They want to create a tournament. So the way it will work is, and this is the beautiful part of blockchain and a DAO, is they will put a proposal, we will put it through the DAO, we all vote depending on the different, obviously, ratios and things like that of the proposal. But like, if the proposal gets approved, then fuck yeah, now Nike has its own, let's say, arena, for example, and they cannot have their own tournament, right? So the process goes through a traditional DAO voting process that we all own via MXM. Now, broadcasting, when you look at the most successful leagues in the world in traditional sports, NFL is the most successful in terms of revenue. They kill it. Like, they generate billions, right? And it's mostly for the broadcasting rights. What does broadcasting right mean? It means that now they can go and sell their transmission of the game to NBC or ABC or whatever broadcasting is, ESPN, right? Or all of them, right? So, they do a deal and they said, yeah, we're gonna, you'll be the preferred partner for NBC. You're the preferred partner for the Super Bowl, and it's gonna cost you $1 billion because we have 1 billion people watching the Super Bowl, right? And they're like, fuck yeah, good for our views. So that's a really crazy, interesting source of income for a league that now imagine we all own. Now NBC, plus we also have our own broadcasting platform, so we're gonna have 1 million people there,
I
for
was gonna
example.
say.
You know what I mean? that we can also advertise and monetize as the league. That then we all participate in the sharing of those, let's call it rewards or revenues. And then on top of that, once that goes into, let's say, ESPN or NBC, then we're like, okay, NBC, well, we have 500 million people watching this stuff. We want $1 billion for you to transmit it, for example, right? Broadcast it. Then now the league is a sustainable entity making a shit ton of money that we all benefit from. For example, obviously this is long-term vision, but I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. Yes.
I
Go
think
ahead, Clouds.
I think you answer a lot of questions, man, because you hit a lot of the answers that I was looking for with some of my questions. But I'm glad you brought up that you guys are building your own broadcasting platform, right? Because another thing I see here along the revenues models, right, is that you guys are looking to also generate revenue through ticket sales, right? And I was gonna ask, are you guys having in mind like of creating your own broadcasting platforms, almost to like like generate like this pay-per-view like mentality and like feel for those people that are like buying tickets that type of stuff, right? Like where now communities and partners, like you were saying, that have their own broadcasting rights, right, can sell pay-per-views essentially for this league as well. Is that like the kind of like the mentality where it's heading, or was there another like model behind that?
100%. You nailed it. And that's what we're doing when you guys get a chance, go to live.mixfrom.io. Right now it's closed, but that's the platform we're building. And that platform, what it does is it connects to Twitch. Now people can, MixMob can broadcast straight from Twitch to our platform. It has a chat, and it also has the betting component. So if Missy and Cloud are you guys are, let's say, competing, Crypto Hado and me, we can go and bet on you guys and see, okay, in fact, Missy's been training, we're betting on Missy, for example, or Cloud, Cloud's been having a streak, right? And so that we already have a build, right? So that's the cool part. And then the second part is, we can gate it via NFTs, we can gate it via tickets, and this is a beautiful part of crypto, right? And how this all translates into the crypto space, right? And then those revenues are for the league. And now on top of that, think about, let's say we all have a team, part of the league, we all have merch for our team, and then this is all stuff that goes for the league's revenue, right? So, and we all own it. This is the cool part, right? So, yeah.
Looks like we're having a little bit of technical difficulties with Cloud's hearing, but yo, I this conversation is just blowing my mind here. Like you're talking about Nike, NBC, and stuff, and opening it up to the community and just having this working ecosystem. I did notice that you talked about uh in the white paper at least a global quarterly tournament called MixMob World Clash. First of all, great freaking name, World Clash. Like I don't know if you guys realize, but like when you add world to it, it then adds the world to it. You think of League of Legends worlds, people know what worlds is, and they're like, oh, it's the world tournament. I remember Dragon Ball Z was the World Martial Arts Tournament. Can you talk a little bit about the tournament?
Yeah, for sure. And so the Mixed World Clash was our first test to our esports league, right? And this happened about 2 or 3 months ago. And we wanted to see how the community will react towards an esports tournament. So we put it together. We divided into two aspects. One was content creators. So we invited a bunch of content creators, and the other half was people from our community. And we had our mix spots, so it was gated by NFTs, which is pretty cool, right? So it was part of the innovation there. And we got the content creators in our community to compete on this league. Guys, we reached about 1 million people pre-tournament and post-tournament. And during the tournament, there were 4,000 viewers between Twitch and Facebook, all watching in our platform live. This was 4,000 viewers in our test. And so what that gave us was like, heck yeah, like people are interested into this kind of content. People want to expectate. People want to bet. There were like 5,000 sorry, 500 different bets for people. There's tons of people talking on the chat. So that was a huge success for us. It proved that the league has a lot of legs, and now we're just putting it in place in the structure. And now we all can vote what the Mixed World Clash means, right? Is it going to be like the structure of the tournament, the rewards, etc.?
Yeah, to have an open format like that is really beneficial too, because you get to have that like kind of live feedback that, uh, like maybe something didn't work so well, or maybe something went really great, and you want to keep on harping on that. And uh, it's really blowing my mind on how a DAO can really be beneficial to an overall ecosystem and platform, like MixMob has created.
Right? And it adds a beautiful use case for a DAO. Like a league, it's such a cool thing to have as a DAO because it unifies everybody. Everybody's incentivized to vote. Everybody's incentivized to vote on price pools, team formation. Like there's so many things. It targets all of those personas that we talked about in the beginning. And a lot of games is like, yeah, you own the token, you can participate in game development. Some people don't want to do that. Like game development can be very techy, very geeky, but owning a league, it's something that it's really cool.
It's
And I was,
honestly like
oh, go ahead, sorry.
it's like the Roblox of leagues, right? That's how I view it in my mind. Where going, everyone loves to say Roblox was the first to really do what it did, but those that play Halo 3 know what's up.
Mhm.
Halo 3 was really the first, but Roblox like really ran with it. But then when I hear you talk about the leagues, it reminds me of like creating maps inside of Roblox and like Fortnite UEFN now, but for a community. So it's really interesting, and it's going to be very. What I do enjoy about like what I'm hearing is you guys are really helping people get the discovery and viewership, and then it's really up to them, like by giving them the platform to host it on and all that, and then it's up to the people to really like drive the hype around their league and get people enticed there. But at least they have like somewhere to aggregate all those people too. So very bullish on that. And you
Exactly.
mentioned, Black Hand, so shout out to Sursu. Those guys are awesome.
They're
I'm
killing
a
it.
I'm a fan of theirs, and I deal with them frequently at Paladins. Not that we work together per se, but just mutual support. So shout out Sursu. And are they going to be doing some stuff in Mixmob? Is there anything you can talk about there?
You know what? We had a early conversation a while back, and I'm so bullish on that conversation still. And the plan is 100% to collaborate. I won't disclose too much. We gotta reconnect and put everything together again because now we're in a place where this is coming to fruition. So, but I'll leave it to there. But I'm super bullish on what they're doing, and it just it's where everything is going, right? So and they're innovating in that space, pioneering, and then now from our side, now the league, it's where it's at as well, right? Like imagine all of us owning the NFL, being able to participate on how the Super Bowl gets broadcasted, sponsors, the rules, all even the teams, right? Like we want to form a team, we want to go into the Super Bowl. Now we put the team together, we stake some MXM, and then we are in the team ready to compete through the Super Bowl, qualifiers, eliminations. It just makes so much sense, and that's something that I'm super pumped about, to bring that innovation into the space. And it led us really nicely into the token launch, which we're having, this Thursday. And this is one of the biggest benefits for the token for us right now as well.
Lovely.
Absolutely.
So just to let everyone know, Simon only has a couple of minutes left before he has to hop into him. So,
Yeah, I just want to
um,
jump in real quick and ask a question from the community. Money Plane from Twitter asked, "When Mix Mob with hat?"
Let's go, money.
I love it. Imagine an arena, and we're in collaboration with Bonk right now. Like they're one of our partners, and we did a little leaks here and there, but it's coming. Trust me, it's gonna happen. That's the cool part about this.
let's go.
Asking you shall receive, money.
So very quickly before we start wrapping things up, and thank you so much for coming on today, Simon, and for so eloquently explaining everything about Mixed Mob. Look forward to talking to you on Tuesday at Boss Battle. Well,
It'll be fun.
obviously outside of Mixed Mob, what was your game of the week?
Okay, so I've been playing a lot of Aurori recently, and Parallel.
Okay,
Ooh.
in
So
parallel.
just started getting into it, and as a TCG like card person, I have to say they have created something really cool, and I'm really excited to keep that level of quality in the entire ecosystem, and it's something that I'm really bullish on for sure. What about you
Love to
guys?
hear it. Love to hear it. I'll
Hell yeah,
let
man.
Clouds go first because he's been
No, I
MIA for a
appreciate
little
it. I
bit.
appreciate it, man.
Oh,
Sorry
dude,
about
you're
that,
you're
guys.
you're double miking
You're
again,
double
man. You have to
miking.
mute
Use
one
one
mic.
mic.
No.
All right. Well, he figures that. I'll get into mine. So on the end of season one, my game of the week was actually Mixed Mob. So
Woo!
because I was blown away by the fact that you made me enjoy a TCG mechanic. So shout out to you, man. I'm the harshest critic when it comes to TCGs in our community. And for this week, I would say it's really hard choosing between Cypher and
Mm,
Legends of Illumia. I play Legends of Illumia a little more, so I'm gonna pick that one as my game of the week. And really enjoy MMORPGs. They're also on Solana, so I'm sure you guys are like fairly familiar with each other. Um,
totally.
talk to the Simon over there. That dude is awesome, and I'm bullish on them as well.
Yeah, my game of the week was definitely Fortnite. I've been I've been trying to practice for the next Oni event because I don't want to lose that bad like I did last time. And then I got to silver, like almost silver three in Valorant, but that game has just destroyed my confidence in all FPS games. So I'm taking a long hiatus on that game. I played the game yesterday and it was just the worst experience ever. So yeah, I've been just diving into Fortnite honestly. I got my first victory royale of 2024 in a
Woo!
solo, and it was like easy to do. And I was like, yo, I can actually play this game now. So I'm just trying to rank up, that game.
Yeah, you got. I'm glad you're training for that next Oni Force event, bro. You got to represent Catalyst.
Bro, I was terrible. Like it was bad. It was
To be
bad.
fair, there was some good players in that event.
There
So
were. There's so many
yeah.
good players.
But hopefully my mic is better now, guys. I
Yep.
apologize about that. My computer just decided to rug me midway, and I just lost all audio. But we're back. My game of the week, I would say, is more like coming up to being the game of the month for me. Has been Sunken Lands. From the Web 2 side, I've been playing the crap out of that game, and it's basically like Rust mixed with Arc. super fun. It's like a survival game. I've been having a blast in there, and tons of content opportunities within that game. And from the Web3 side, I would have to say my game of the week so far has been Legends of Illumia. Been playing it, been grinding it. I think I'm already at level 10 mage, so I've been grinding the hell out of it. So super fun game, very interesting, similar to Big Time, but I don't know. I enjoy the game loop a little bit more than Big Time
It's
personally.
like a more traditional MMORPG
They
where
have
Big
Yeah,
Time feels like an
variety.
yeah,
ARPG.
They have
and
brothers.
and I will
Oh
say to get some I
yeah.
to have brothers, dude. I will say to get some items to be dropped as you're completing, like like different, like clearing out different areas and stuff. It takes a while. You do have to grind some like enemies and stuff like that. But it's been pretty fun. I've been really enjoying it, and now I'm looking forward to playing MixMobs. I'm definitely gonna play it right after this show, and continue to play it throughout the week. So definitely looking forward to that. But Simon, man, thank you so much for coming on the show for season 2 and being our first guest. It's been a pleasure getting to know a little bit more about Mess Mops. And honestly, to all of our viewers watching, thank you so much, guys, for being here with us and asking your questions and just throwing comments in the chats. Awesome. It's been an awesome first episode for season 2. Guys, any closing thoughts before we close this out?
Guys, it's
Adam?
been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on the show. This was such a blast. For everybody that's listening, here's a bit of alpha. Make sure that you come this Thursday and you are early because our whitelist for our public sale is getting super packed. So make sure you're there early. Another bit of alpha where we created a new way of developing games in the sense that traditionally there is alpha. The process goes like this: alpha, private, closed beta, open beta. And what we've done is back to crypto, we have created something called incentivized beta. What this means is if you go and play, if you go and participate, remember all of these actions, our game is a blockchain game, so crypto game, so all these actions are staying on chain. And what we're doing is we're incentivizing people to go and play the game, try the different modes for in with an airdrop. So go mixmo.io, play the game, participate in the modes, just have a blast, test it out. And remember, we are in incentivized beta. That means that when we do our token launch, whatever actions you took, we're going to reward you for that. So make sure you go there, participate. Hey guys, it's been a pleasure. So thank you so much for having me. And everybody there, remember, there's a big surprises coming this week. Turn your notifications on for MixMob, for everybody that's here. And guys, I'll see you soon, right? We see you in the boss battles. It's going to be fun.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. And we'll close it right there and then, man. We love closing it with the alpha. Simon, thank you so much. Everyone, make sure you follow Miss Mobs so that you stay up to date with all the announcements and all the things upcoming. And with that, guys, we're going to close it up here. Thank you so much for coming to the Catalyst Effect podcast. We'll see you guys next Sunday. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.